Hi, I'm Creed with Homebuyer University. Hey, today we're going to do some really important things with the technology side of things. I drag you through contracts, which are really vital for you to know. But finding your home and considering all the different homes and considering all the different neighborhoods and all the qualities of homes, that's going to feel the most important to you. And so that's what we're covering today. This is Smart Sales version of Neighborhood Now. And why is this important? We're going to cover why it's important. I'm going to show you the results so that you really understand why it's important. And then I'm going to give you a brief overview on what you need to have your broker do on your behalf. I think you actually want to take a couple of notes on this because you want to make sure the broker is doing this for you. It opens up a lot of options for you as far as finding a home. And let me just jump right into it. We're going to use Highlands Ranch here in Metro Denver, Colorado as our example. But be aware that you can do this for anywhere in the whole Metro Denver neighborhood, or at least we can. After you leave Metro Denver, we're not affiliated with the data that we would need to pull this for you. But essentially, we're sucking all the information out of the Realtors Multiple Listing Service, MLS, pulling it into this system for you, and then helping you expand the opportunities you have to find a home because inventory is still low. There's a lot of homes out there you just aren't going to like. And we're trying to expand locations and narrow down the homes that you have to go through using these sort of tools. And it's really important. Please shoot down a couple of keywords while you're thinking about this. Neighborhood Now, this is the Smart Sell AI's version of it. So if we took a look at a map right now, we're going to do that. We're going to go ahead and zoom in to Highlands Ranch. And you'll recognize over in this areas like Quebec and over in here's Santa Fe. This would be 470. So the main part of Denver is well north of here yet. And then heading down this direction, you're heading toward Castle Rock. These are all the homes that have sold in Highlands Ranch. Again, just our example, just in the last 12 months. And it covers, as you can see, the whole range of properties. How does that help you at all? It kind of doesn't, and that's the point I want to make to you. We're going to take a look at the analysis results, and then I'll explain some of this. I just want to get you right up front what's cool about this. This is just a table, and to you it doesn't mean much yet. We're going to come back to this idea of market area cluster. You do want to be a little bit familiar with that. But let's go back to the strategy you typically look at. And let's say you were looking at homes in the 700 to 750 price range. Let's just say, for example, that's where you're at. So let's look at all of this because I want to show you how this whole thing works. And I'm just going to highlight all the data on that price group. And what the system has done is broken out the homes that are sold so that you can see where they were and by location and by price and by a lot of important stuff to you. Things like the actual price, the size of the home, that would be the square foot above ground level, not including the basement, beds, baths. We'll need to scroll down a little bit. That's why I highlighted it. Just give you an idea of a little bit of the basement finish, year of construction, year it was built, lot size, typical garage spaces in these neighborhoods, this grouping of neighborhoods, typical days on the market to show you how tough it is to compete, for those homes. And this is just a simple ratio of how much they sold for relative to how much they asked for originally. And we'll go through all this. So again, let's say you were looking in this price range. You might think, well, that's easy enough. I can do that right now on Zillow or Realtor.com. I don't need you. That's kind of true. You can. And in fact, even most of the realtors, most of the real estate brokers do the exact same thing in the MLS. You'll say, you know what, here's the boundaries, or here's the locations, or here's the city I want to live in. Here's my price range. And I also need X number of bedrooms and baths. You can do that yourself on Zillow. That's how the brokers do it in the MLS if they don't use a tool like this. Let me show you why you want this. I'll explain how this analysis arrived at these in just a few minutes. Again, I want to show you the results, but it's essentially grouped a bunch of different neighborhoods in Highlands Ranch, and we have 53 of them, 53 identified, and we have those condensed down into 7 areas for you. We call these market areas. You might hear me call it a market area cluster because of the artificial intelligence used to derive that. Don't worry about that right now. These are the actual number of homes sold in each of these clusters. Okay, again, this is a grouping of neighborhoods. And how they get grouped is not only by how much the home sold for, and this is really where it gets important. Do take a note on this. We're going to use, you don't have to worry about it too much, but we use a clustering algorithm to consider all these things simultaneously. So we're not just considering the price or not just limiting it by the number of bedrooms. We're taking a bunch of criteria that's important to you, and you get to define this. Make sure your broker lets you define what's most important to you here. This is just an example. I'll tell you what, we use price on this example. Price, the actual sale price, obviously the location, which is defined by latitude and longitude lines, and the shape files of the specific 53 neighborhoods, and they end up in 7 shape files of market area clusters. We use the lot size and year of construction. So those things are usually pretty important to you. You could add additional things. You get to name it, okay? The average, so you would think, well, this is pretty simple. I'll just run it 700 to 750 over on Zillow, and I'm good. I don't even need a broker. These all lined up pretty close. Price per square foot, pretty close. Average home size, still pretty close. These are a little bit smaller. These are a little bit bigger, but we're talking less than 150 square feet. Looks like this group, this cluster of neighborhoods, this could be anywhere from, the smallest would be 3 neighborhoods, but it could be as many as 20 or 30 neighborhoods. We're skipping over that arbitrary idea of a neighborhood. What we're doing is we're pulling data, all the data from what the buyers wanted in this area, based on how they spent their money to get what they want. And we're just kind of ignoring those neighborhood boundaries because that's what buyers do. That's what home buyers do. They're like, well, yeah, we love that neighborhood, but this neighborhood a quarter mile away is pretty nice too, and we have no complaints. And there's another one a half mile north of here that is pretty good too. Okay, if buyers act that way and spend their money that way, that's what this artificial intelligence does for you. It's telling you essentially the advice of the last, I'd have to look, but I think there's just under 1,400 sales in the last 12 months. This is 1,400 buyers giving you their best advice and telling you how they spent their money to get what they want. And you're about to see why that's important. The first really differentiating mark here is this particular cluster. So 1, 2, cluster number 3. We're using 3, 4, and 5 as our example because they're priced very closely. We notice that the average number of bathrooms is 4. The other 2 groupings is 3. So if you wanted to maximize your chance to get 4 bedrooms or maybe even more, you would want to focus in this area. And I'm going to explain how it all works, I promise. The amount of finish area, well, I notice that one's a little bit bigger, but it's actually a fair amount. You're looking at 170, give or take, square feet bigger, and that's nice. Here's a big differentiator that I think may be really important to you, maybe not, but the age of construction. In other words, the average year that the homes were built in this grouping of neighborhoods, in this price point, in this general size of homes, with this number of bedrooms and baths. This group was built in 88, 94, 2003. You already know from walking into a few homes or staring at a few thousand on Zillow, right? That, I prefer a newer home or I prefer the 80s homes, whatever it might be. But that becomes really important to you, and I'm going to explain why. Here's a really huge differentiator just in this example, but this is good for all areas. Look at the lot size. So this group, number 3, almost 8,500 square feet on average, little under 6,300 in this group on average, down below 5,000 square feet lot size in this group on average. Are you starting to see why this becomes really important? If you need a big yard and you like a big yard and you got a horde of kids and dogs and cats and whatever you might want to put out there, this might work out well for you. Keeping in mind, it requires some mowing and weed whacking too, right? Maybe you don't want that. Maybe you want the exact opposite. I want a home of that size with that number of bedrooms and baths and that price point, but I want the smaller lot. Well, how would you know without looking at one house over, the individual house over and over and over for every area? You slowly kind of go insane. And so I want to just show you, and I'm going to do this visually, what would happen. So keep in mind what we call market area clusters 3, 4, and 5, and I'm going to close this now. And originally we looked at this map, and we're going to take another quick look just to show you how this really helps you and why you have to demand this from your broker. You're the one spending your life savings on this home. You're the one making hundreds of decisions, putting those in contracts and signing off on that you're fully responsible, you. And you're the one committing up to 30 years of payments for this. Demand this stuff from your broker. Don't let them shortchange you and say, yeah, look at Zillow and let me know when you spot something, or I'll hook you up with a basic automatic search from the MLS system. Don't do it. This is your money. Your broker is being paid well to help you. Make sure they are helping you. That's just advice. Sorry about that. So again, all those homes that we looked at with our Highlands Ranch example are right here. It would never help you. You'd be like, okay, that's of no help. Let me show you what happens after we do this. Now what's happened is each one of these color codes is one of those groups. Remember the 7 groups I showed you? And we're focusing on what? 3, 4, and 5, remember? This is how we differentiate that. So these can all be different neighborhoods. This might be, one neighborhood, it might be 3. Over here, this huge swath, if you were to drive this, you might find this is 12 or 15 different neighborhoods. The system has bypassed the kind of antiquated idea of neighborhoods and found homes that you might really like and let you differentiate based on the criteria that you choose what's important to you. We plug it in and we get to see what all these 1,400 buyers, how they spent their money to get those qualities. And then we simply plug these in for you so that you can see them. But right now you're going, it still looks pretty messy. And you're right. So let's clean that up right now. So the way we do this is we want 3, 4, and 5. Remember those market area clusters? Just think of it as market areas. Just know it's a grouping of neighborhoods meeting the criteria that's most important to you. Okay? We're going to go ahead and parse that out. Now let's take a look at that map. We'll open that up. So this is the cool thing. Right now, and we'll see which one's which, this is cluster 5. Remember, we were looking at 3, 4, and 5. This is cluster 4. And this is cluster 3. And so what this has done for you, it's just opened up opportunities for you to find a home that you really like. In this case, based on the size of the home, the price, size of the lot, your construction. Okay. You can do it on any criteria you want. But if you liked a home over here, you now know that you can look in these areas and these areas and these areas and so on and so forth to find homes and lots and year of construction that are very similar to the area you most like. Does that make sense? It cleans up maybe 50 to 100 hours of you looking on Zillow and Realtor.com and going insane and getting all these automatic feeds from the MLS that you have to manually filter through. Once we know the areas that provide the homes with the qualities that you've defined and you most like, it saved you 100 hours of effort and pulling out your hair and just getting burned out on this whole thing. And now we can define and set up, your broker, can define and set up searches in the MLS that automatically, anytime any home comes available in these areas, will tell you, hey, here's a home in the areas you most love and over here. And again, any of the greens are very similar. Any of the purples are similar to others. Any of the oranges are similar to the others. All are between that 700 and 750 price range. What was the biggest differentiators? Remember the chart we looked at? One area we know typically has a fourth bedroom on average. And all these areas, one area's got closer to 4,000 square foot lot. One area's got closer to 6. One area is closer to 8,000 square feet. Just pick, what is most important to you. I really want the big yard. I really don't want to do yard work. Boom. We set this up to automatically feed from the MLS for you, and you get that without pulling your hair out, without spending hours, hundreds of hours on Zillow and Realtor.com. It comes to you. Why is that important? All of these places, Zillow and Realtor.com, get their information from the Realtor's MLS. The Realtor's MLS is going to have the most recent information, the most detailed information, and they're going to have the information first before any of these other sites do. So if you know what areas we tell it to search for, your broker, and you get that feed automated so that it can come at midnight, 3 in the morning, noon, it doesn't matter. It's there and it's coming to you first before Zillow and Realtor.com even know about it. It's pretty important stuff. So I just wanted to explain for you the benefits of this and to make sure to tell you, make your broker do this for you. Don't let them tell you to do all the work. They're getting paid. You are welcome to play on Zillow and Realtor.com, but when you go from the virtual world of home search to the real world of home purchase, it gets real complicated real fast, and I want you to have all of the advantage, and I want your broker to be doing the work for you. You can have a lot of fun, but make sure you're getting the very best information as fast as you can, and that you have as many options as you can. And this opens that up for you. In fact, we could step outside of cities. We could, sneak up here into Littleton and whatnot. Yeah, if you think you might be interested in stuff like that, we just simply run that analysis to pull in 2 cities and say, hey, Highlands Ranch, Littleton, whoever's got the coolest house at the best price, boom, it's there for you. Now, that's it. That's the benefits. Let me just show you to make sure you know what to ask for when you're talking to your broker. Again, this is the Smart Cell AI's version of Neighborhood Now. That's the name of the tool. And that simply shows you how it was arrived at. I'm going to shrink this down a little bit because it's not important that you fully see everything. But this is part of, in fact, I'll shrink it down quite a bit here. This is part of a huge artificial intelligence algorithm to help you find the home as fast and as best a deal as you can. We just looked at right here. That's all we looked at right now. There are a ton of steps, really important steps. Bear with me, I have to stare over I have 3 computer screens open all the time. You know why? Because I can't figure out how to get 4. We do a ton of analyses. One thing I do want you to know is it's really important that they use one of several clustering algorithms. Do not just set this up, and we're going to try to find that again. Do not just set this up based on square footage. Here we go. Square footage, bedrooms, baths, and price, because you won't get that map that you need to expand the area options for you, those market areas. So make sure that they are using some sort of a high-end clustering analysis, just to give you a heads up. Something called the K-means clustering analysis is really good for this. The fuzzy C-means, that's the actual name. Data scientists, aren't they fun? Is actually another clustering algorithm that's pretty good at this also. So make sure they're using one of these clustering algorithms for you. I know you never heard of this, did you? You should have. Any broker should be able to knock this out for you. And other than that, I won't show you how complex this disaster is, but it's pretty cool. We're pulling in all of the data from the multiple listing service for you, and we're associating those with any of those 53 neighborhoods. In this case, Highlands Ranch, could be done for anywhere. And we do this huge analysis for you so that at the end, you just get to say, you know what's most important to me is year of construction. Of course, always price range. I know that. But year of construction, or I want the newer home, right? Or the lot size, or whatever it is that's important to you. You get to define that before the analysis is run so that the output is meaningful to you. Is that a deal? Just remember, don't do all the work yourself. You are arranging for your broker. If you watched the contract section, did you? When you hired them through that exclusive right to buy listing contract, you married yourself to that broker. Make them do all the work. You don't do all the work. Have them do this analysis for you. Have them set up the automated MLS feed for you after you've looked at this analysis and you agree on the locations, and then you'll have the information before Zillow and Realtor.com, and it'll be a refined set of information. You won't get 35 houses fed to you every day. You'll get the 3 or 4 best, and that's going to take some stress off you. And that's it. And as always, I'm sorry it took so long. I know it always does. I only explained 1/1000th of what happens with this stuff. Just remember to ask for it right up front. You want this as fast as you can get it early on in your home search process. Take care.